What's up, brother? How do you like this weather? We get in here. It's a hot one, man. Yeah, sorry for boomer traffic, these tracks, all sorts of traffic. Oh man. That's a hot one today, bub. Hey, so I got the cameras going now, unless you want me to turn.
No.
Is that good? Okay.
Yeah. Very nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too, brother. Yeah, awesome. David Moss in my Tesla. So let me ask you this: what do you want to do today? So I'm going to get you to League City. So actually, you got to.
Yeah,
okay, so you're good. So you just need to be back here.
Yeah.
What do you want to do today?
I'm up for anything.
All right, we could. I mean, the options are. I mean, we could drive over to Tesla on Hempstead Highway and do a couple of Robotaxi rides.
I like that idea.
You want to do that? All right, let's do that. Let me make sure I'm out of it. Hey, Grok, navigate me to the Tesla delivery center on Hempstead Highway. Sure, that's right. Yeah.
Navigating to Tesla Houston on Hempstead Highway, about 27 miles away. ETA around 45 minutes, depending on traffic.
Goodbye.
I love how you can say goodbye now.
I do too, man. I just love the whole hands-free mode of Grok now. I still have muscle memory of going to the user interface, so I'm still breaking that habit. But yeah, it is so much better now. I'm not sure why it wants to go through now. I'm gonna let it do its thing. I'm right on your tail, David. So David, you are past 11,000 now?
Yeah, I think it's right around 11,200.
That's, my God, that's just phenomenal. So I am at 9.7 miles. So
I mean, you're gaining on me. I'm not driving.
I'm gaining. That's right. Right now, I am. That is a objective mathematical fact. It is a mathematical fact that as I go to 9.8 and here pretty soon 9.9, I have gained a tenth that you have not. And yeah, you know, I actually made a post about that. Obviously, saw your post about going over 11,000. I mean, first of all, that's just phenomenal. And you know, where I was coming at it from is like, you're basically proving to people that you do not need a steering wheel and pedals, that it can be done without it. And with the unfortunate thing that, you know, happened here in Houston.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, just before we go on that, put a pin in that for a second. I've done Uber pickups and drop-offs in that neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And so that's what really kind of hit home for me too, is like, I've been on FSD down that street. I've just never that out. And so, you know, it's sad, but at the same time, it also, you know, had me thinking like, man, juxtapose that with David Moss showing everyone what can be done with it, and that realistically that's saving lives. Yeah. When you do that, when you prove that out. And so I'll bring my 9.8 mile streak up here. Let me just be blunt. I completely disengage because I'm an Uber driver. Yeah. And I don't want to get a 1-star rating and lose a tip, right? And I'll give you the perfect example is the Uber pins are good, but they're not perfect, right? And so if I let the Tesla just kind of end where the pin is, I can see my passenger about 20 yards up ahead of me, but they can see me too. And so I go to them, right? The reality is I don't have to do that. There's no requirement. In fact, and if I wasn't in the Tesla, if my passenger saw a driverless Tesla come up, they would have absolutely no issue walking that 20 yards up to the... So there's a part of me that's like, it's actually less safe statistically. It's just a fact. it's actually less safe for me to disengage and go that 20 yards
Yeah.
to keep a 5-star rating and try to get that tip that never comes. Right?
Convenience at the cost of safety.
Convenience at the cost of safety. But that's why I'm doing it. And I was kind of blunt with myself about that. I'm like, you're teaching, or not, you're showing the world that not only can it be done, but the statistical fact is you've probably saved 1/15 of a life in those 11. Now, like if you do the, I'm talking out of my ass here, and I'm not going to ask Grok about it because Grok will probably bitch slap me for.
I know what you're saying.
But what I'm saying is, like, if you do the statistics on the 45,000 deaths and the miles driven, there's some fraction of a human being that you have saved by never disengaging for those 11,000 plus miles. Whereas me, ding-a-ling over here, no, I need to keep that 5-star rating. And I need to try to get that $5 tip. Right. And so, I step back and I think about that, and I'm like, that's literally the stupidest calculus in the world.
Yeah.
Because when I disengage, and granted, over a night of Uber where let's say I put, let's say I do 200 miles. Yeah, that may rack up to maybe 1 mile of driving out of that. But that's 1 mile that statistically is 10 times more likely to hurt myself, somebody else, or maybe damage something.
Yeah.
That if I just let the car go to the pin and look outside my window at the passenger and say, numbnuts, you're the one that dropped the pin. Walk to your pin.
Yeah.
And then get my 1 star. But again, that's terrible calculus, right?
Yeah.
It's like I'll everything I just mentioned to trying to keep an Uber rating for a job that's not going to last in Houston for probably, who knows? It'll probably, I think,
at least another 10 years.
I think so. You know what? You bring up a great point. I'm gonna shut up and ask you. I think people overestimate how much is going to change in the next year or two, and they probably underestimate how much change is going to happen in 10 to 20 years. Goodbye. I'm not talking to you, Grok. Goodbye. He really wanted to get in on that. So I'm going to shut up. You can see why my Uber passengers probably it would not be a risk to go to a 1-star rating. Seeing that, what are your thoughts on that, David?
I think we're a short ways away, but a long ways away at the same time. The way I like to think about it is a lot of my, friends or personal friends back home are tech focused. They all, all cutting edge, but none of them have been in a Waymo. None of them have been in a Robotaxi. Only one of them's really experienced FSD. That we're so far away. You probably had it in the Robotaxis. You get reactions on the street and summon and things like that. And, a really good example is out in Michigan at the Tesla Summer Meetup. I was with Owen Sparks and some others, and we were using summon, and they were blowing people's minds, and they'd never heard of this. And, people like you and I had been using it for years and years and don't think twice about it. So it's, hard to say. I always hate when I say these kind of things because I wish it would all change. I wish it would all be, safe in this brand new world living in the future. But I really don't think it's gonna be that for quite a while. And even if the technology's there, you're gonna have the government regulations slow it down. And we're only in a couple states. I guess Waymo's probably one of the 10, 11 states, and we got a long ways to go.
Yeah, this is like my assessment of your analysis is obviously you're an extremely tech forward person, right? I mean, everything you do, your background, which we're going to get into in a second, but everything you do and what you're about is obviously tech forward. Like, you believe, I mean, more so than just about anybody, in FSD, autonomy, what Waymo's doing, what Tesla's doing. But one thing I've noticed about you, David, too, is you're much more tempered about where you think, we're going with it. So we have so many bulls that are like, a year from now, Uber won't exist in this place or that place, or, everybody's going to be doing that, you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
It's like some of it's probably wish casting. Some of it may be leaps that they bought that need that to happen.
Depends on the stock pick of the week.
That's right. But that's one thing that is really, I really enjoy not just watching your journey, but listening to you, because you are a tech guy. Like, I'm not a tech guy, right? That's not my background. I love it. I enjoy it. And I'm like you, I'm tech forward, but I didn't cut my teeth in the tech world like you have. And, but at the same time, you're much more measured, about how you talk and look at those things. One thing I wanted to do, and I haven't done it, and just for my YouTube subscribers, and just to give you, I'm going to talk to them in a second. First, I'm going to tell you, my YouTube, granted, I don't have a huge channel, but I'd say the majority of my
channel. Your channel's 5 times bigger than mine.
Well, you just started, dude. You started like a freaking week ago. It took me I think when I saw your post that you got to 1,000 in a week, I was like, dude, I think it took me like 3.5 months. And that was with like one viral thing helping me out. So like Robotaxi started, like when that happened, that I got a big boost from that. But yeah, you're gonna be like a meteor, dude. But yeah, so my subscribers are probably half of them are like folks in our community.
Yeah.
But then there's just another half that are like people around Southeast Texas that don't own a Tesla, do have some interest in it. Don't let me lie. 5 to 10% of them are just trolls, but everybody in the Tesla community is going to have. And God bless the trolls. They comment. It's crappy sometimes, but comments help the algorithm regardless of what the content is. So it's about
any engagement is good engagement.
Any engagement's good engagement. So you got the 5 to 10% trolls, but then of the folks that are really interested, I'd say it's half and half for me. Maybe it is just because I'm an old Gen Xer, non-tech, Southeast Texas, which isn't heavy EV. So I still do quite a bit of I won't call it education, but more of like, all right, you don't really have to worry about this with range. You don't really have to worry about this with a battery pack. You can charge out of your own. Whereas, you're from the West Coast, you're in tech, you probably don't have to tip. Most of your viewers are coming to you because you're like really pushing the tech forward. Like that. So just wanted to lay the groundwork there. For my subscribers, half of you are obviously, this is going to sound stupid as shit, but this is David Moss. For the other half of you, for my church ladies up in Splendora, Texas. So David is a longtime Tesla guy. He is, and I'm going to ask him here a little bit to kind of go through. Is it too cold in here for you?
No, I'm just going to pull up.
Oh, there you go. Pull up and whatever you need, man.
Keep going.
Yeah. So David is a longtime Tesla guy. He's a West Coaster. Everything you could possibly think about one of these tech nerds out in basically the people that are trying to put chips in your neck and all of that sort of stuff. That's dead. I'm just messing with you. But there you go. There we go right there. So David,
I didn't like that West Coast comment. I take offense to that.
So
you can't bunch me in with those people.
That's right. So David has done a couple of things that are literally like Neil Armstrong type of things. So David has, you see that truck, because that happens all day long. But David, when I say he's pushing the tech forward, David has gone cross country. And again, I know half of my subscribers are going to be like, duh, JC, but bear with me. This is for my other half. Again, the church ladies in Splendora. David has taken Tesla FSD all the way across the United States, coast to coast, on FSD, the same thing you see me using, and has never intervened. Literally from the coast of, was it California?
Yep.
Coast of California, all the way to Myrtle Beach.
South Carolina.
South Carolina. Let's just say California to Myrtle Beach. So all of y'all that play golf up in Myrtle Beach, y'all know what I'm talking about. All the way without once intervening. He never had to hit the brake. He never had to take over the steering wheel. Did that, that was probably 3 months ago?
About 6 months ago.
6 months ago.
It was right at the end of the year, December 30th.
That's right. Right at the end of the year. Well, then, that wasn't enough for David. So he said, United States schmeezy. Well, and there you go. We got the mariachi over here. Basically, we're going to get into this in a second. I got him to show up just for David because he's also been to Mexico. So I don't know if you can see to my left, but we have a world famous mariachi performer right underneath the 59 East Tex Freeway Bridge. Something tells me that heat has gotten to that sombrero. But the United States was not enough for David. So he and two other folks in the Tesla community, Spencer and Devin lives up in Canada, they then went and did it all the way across Canada. And for those of y'all down here in Southeast Texas like me, you know how our roads are pretty doggone good, well paved. You know, you get on the interstate here and, you know, you're probably going to be, going to have a lot of road construction. Canada ain't that way. Canada is, hell, 90% of that country still ain't wilderness. 90% of that country, you may go into certain areas where it's still in the hundreds of how many people have
I'm surprised there was even electricity in some of these places.
There you go. And so David and Devin and Spencer made it all the way across Canada. Now you're going to have to help me out with geography here because I don't know much about the 51st states.
So I started in British Columbia. I think that 51st. Yeah. I started in British Columbia and Vancouver, Horseshoe Bay, right at the ferry terminal, and then we ended up in Halifax, Nova Scotia on the Atlantic Ocean. So that one was 3,700 miles, and the USA was 2,700 miles.
So we got the US, we got Canada. You would think David would be like, yeah, but no. He had to do it again. So now he decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit 3 countries in one trip and see if FSD will do it without intervening. So I call it the NAFTA FSD journey. Just so, here's where it's going to be tough because I do have a lot of backup. I mean, this is Southeast Texas, brother. So welcome. So anyway, and when I say NAFTA, I don't mean the NAFTA that put you out of your welding job in 1997. It's North America. So David went from Canada, the Canadian border, all the way through the United States to the Mexican border and all the way into Mexico, and you used FSD in Mexico.
Yep.
Which I'm gonna tell you, as far as gringos, as Americans who have even used FSD at all in Mexico, that's a very small handful of people. Let alone, I mean, you're the only one that's done what you've done. I mean, you're the only one that's gone from Canada to Mexico without intervening.
Yeah.
That's a one-on-one. But let's just stay with Mexico for a second. The amount of gringos, of American, hell, Mexicans, that have even used FSD in Mexico is probably a small handful. And so you had the opportunity to use FSD on your vehicle in 3 different countries. So when I say that you're pushing the frontiers, I mean, there's a tip of the spear, and then there's a tip to the tip of the spear. and David is definitely the tip of the spear. And so, yeah, that's just phenomenal. One thing I'm going to do whenever I put these up on YouTube, I'm also going to share, put your channel. You know how they do that? Like you can have, collab thing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, again, I know all of David's subscribers who are probably many of mine as well. Again, I get it. I just did a whole 15-minute spiel of duh. But for there's again, half of my subscribers, literally are still asking me how many times I got to put fires out when I'm on the Beltway with my EV. So that's for them too. So yeah, and David, I don't know if you're probably not, so forgive me here. Are you ready to announce what your next journey is, or are you going to wait a little while?
No, we can talk about it.
All right, go ahead.
We're still figuring out the logistics and the start date and the rest, but and I've done the math, but we're going to try to do all 50 states within 7 days of using FSD. So 48 continuous states in my own car, and then the last two I'm going to rent on Turo. But trying to see our great nation, all 50 states within a week, just promoting all things autonomy. So not only FSD, but just all things about safety, which we can all get around. It doesn't have to be just Tesla. It can be from anybody. But just talk about this new world. Try to promote and maybe make those predictions of Uber being gone in a year true. Nothing would make me more happier. But me and gonna have to have a team, but drive 24/7 all across America. It's gonna take about 4.5 days if my math is correct, and then the 5th and the 6th day, and give myself a little buffer, spend that in Hawaii and Alaska. So it's gonna be a pretty special time. I'm hoping to leave sometime in the late summer, probably late August, maybe around Labor Day, but maybe not because of the traffic, but yeah.
So that is going to be a little bit later this summer. Yes. So that's something you're still. So you've got it. It's planned out, but as far as like the execution of it, that's going to come sometime in August.
Yeah.
And so just to again, so I make sure I understand. I knew the 48 contiguous states. I knew that plan. I did not know the Hawaii and Alaska. Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm no construction engineer or mechanical engineer, but I think you got to fly to Hawaii. So the plan is obviously with your vehicle, you're going to do the 48 contiguous in 5 days. Is that the plan?
Yeah, for about 4 or 5 days. I'm running 24 hours a day. Basically, there's a couple, travel and salesman type routes where you barely clip like every state just perfectly, and then looks like you can do it in a loop. So I'll probably start in the Seattle area where I live and end there, and then take some airplanes. But
and I'm assuming you've used like, I don't know, croc. That was a Freudian slip. Grok, called it croc. Grok, and sometimes it is a croc. That you've used Grok or ChatGPT or Gemini and all those, because they're probably, if I think about that, trying to hit all 48 contiguous states and do it as efficiently as possible. That probably takes a little bit of science to that,
especially with the charging part of it.
Yeah,
that adds another degree. There's been articles and studies about it beforehand in the gas world, but you may have to get a little interesting on the routes you take. I know there's superchargers everywhere. They're probably every 50 miles in every major freeway in America, but tens of thousands of them. But lining up and make sure you got a charge everywhere and a place to take your photo in every state.
That's right. And then once you're done with the 48 contiguous states, immediately get on a plane to Alaska or Hawaii first?
Whatever. Probably Alaska, just because it's probably a little closer.
So that's still kind of in process, figuring out those logistics. Yeah, Alaska's closer. Obviously, you could be, depending on where you end the control. I mean, either way, I mean, it's probably 2 to 3 hour flight.
Yeah,
So,
from Seattle, yeah.
right. And then are you going to use Turo, or are you going to have somebody in the Tesla community who's got an AI for Tesla? Like, I would go with the latter.
Yeah,
I mean, Turo is great, but like, you could show up and have a 2021 Model 3 with version, and no offense, all of y'all out there with your 2021 Model 3s with hardware 3, God bless you. You're doing God's work out there. I know it's, you're waiting on V14 Lite, and we're supposed to get it this month. God bless you. But let me just turn back to this for a second. That would suck that you showed up in.
Yes, I mean, I'm gonna definitely attempt that. I just don't want to. I don't know. Yeah.
So anybody that's in Alaska, in the Tesla community, and you have a newer Model Y or Model 3 with AI 4 and the latest and greatest FSD, and as well as Hawaii, we need y'all to show up, because I think that's going to actually be the better approach, David, versus going Turo, where you're just kind of unfortunately leaving it up to some Yahoo. Don't get me wrong, I know there's a bunch of great people on Turo, but I've also rented from Turo, and it's about 80% accurate what you see on those. So
I don't use Turo normally.
Yeah.
So
we need folks, anybody from Alaska or from Hawaii in the community. Like I said, you got a Model 3 or a Model Y with AI 4. Let's make this happen. I think that's going to be the best approach.
I agree.
And then, so you would probably do Alaska, go across Alaska, and then get on another flight, and I'm assuming with Hawaii, you're just picking the main island, right?
I'm probably going to pick Honolulu,
Yeah, because I mean, there's some of those islands that I don't even know if they have roads. Like, unless you got the roadster that can hover.
I'm just going to get a Cybertruck, use wave mode.
There you go. Well, that will be absolutely phenomenal, dude. And then, of course, you know what? This is my. I'm a bit older than you, so that means I'm going to plan out your life for you. I'm your typical old dad, because you're actually about one of my oldest son's age. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to plan out your life for you. So everything I'm about to say, you can just shove it at but what I could see for you, David, is that as the dominoes keep falling with these countries, is that, like I said, there's a spear, like folks that are on board. Yeah. There's a tip of the spear, like those of us that are nerds on X and that do videos, and then there's a tip of the spear, and that's you. And so I could see a scenario where, as these countries start falling like dominoes, man, I think they fall to you. I think you got that proverbial belt, and you've already got 3 notches in it. You got the US, Canada, and Mexico. Just keep adding more notches to that belt. And, because it's stuff like this that is going to win the hearts and minds, right? Because we got enough people out there, especially in the mainstream media, who are trying to basically burn down the villages, right? We've got media outlets that just want to go into a Vietnamese village, take out their cigarette lighter, and torch the damn place. Whereas you are on the opposite hand. You have got a bag full of Hershey bars and dolls for the girls, and you're going in there and you've learned Vietnamese. It's very bad Vietnamese, but you've learned Vietnamese, and you're going to win hearts and minds. That's the way you're not going to get fragged by the Viet Cong, right? Anyway, that's a shitty analogy, but anyway.
I like it.
So, anyway, you can take that, but obviously David Moss is going to have plenty of stuff planned. The other thing too is that, your you know, you're like a beacon of light, not just for our community, but for pushing autonomy forward with the things you're doing. So your outreach is just going to grow meteorically. I mean, let's just be blunt, call it like it is. You went from not having a YouTube channel to having like 1,000 subscribers in less than a week. I mean, that's not going to stand still. That's going to keep growing and growing and growing, especially as you continue this journey. So that's the other thing that I'm really excited to see, is just to see you individually in your journey as this young man who's, you know, who's so what's the word? Not you're going hard in the paint for autonomy. Like you're fine with being that guy. Because with being that guy, obviously comes trolls and haters and all of that. But
I've even had a couple death threats.
Oh, geez, see, there you go. But you got shoulders big enough to take that. And first of all, let me just say, anybody out there doing it, fuck you, just fuck you. And for the church ladies in Splendora, that was AI. I did not say that. I needed to get that in there, but that was not me. That was AI. So anyway, now that we got that out of the way, so we know that there's a lot more to come for you, and we can talk talk about that as well. But yeah. I also want to learn about you, okay. Like, because I'm not gonna lie, you kind of came out of nowhere there. Yeah. Late last year, like you know. So this is what I know about David Moss. Is that you're late 20s, that you are a nerd, that you love your Tesla, you love autonomy. And when I say nerd, I say that in a loving manner. I mean, look at me. I'm fucking talking to a camera in a Tesla on FSD.
We're in the same ballpark.
We're in the same ballpark. So I say that with all love. And that you just, you know, you took your love of autonomy to a level that no one else has ever seen, to a degree that you've done things with it that no one has ever seen. And now you got Ashok corresponding with you online, you got Elon posting and reposting you. But quite frankly, probably the most impressive thing to me, I mean, Elon's gonna quote post somebody about, you know, Doge the next week, so he's kind of all over the place. But Ashok, I'm not gonna lie, I mean, for me, that was like when he was kind of going back and forth with you, I was like, motherfucker, you made it. Like, don't get me wrong, obviously Elon's El Jefe. Yeah. I mean, Elon's gonna be quote posting some girl with big tits a week later. So I mean, we're talking Elon. What is it? Ashok? I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I feel the
same exact way. And then I was gonna mention, like, funny, like, I don't know if you saw the one like a week or two ago, but so I finished this big road trip. I went to Canada. I went to New Jersey to go see Doug and some other people, Scott. And
oh, hey, and by the way, hey, Doug.
Yeah, shout out Doug.
Shout out Doug, Triangle.
And then went to the Michigan event and spoke there. But on the way home, so it was an 8,600 mile road trip, and I'm happy. I'm like, you know, normally I'm excited to be on the road, but you know, it'd been so long. I was like, you know, nice to be in your own bed and, you know, washing machine and the rest. And I'm literally not even 10 minutes from getting home. And Ashok tweets at me, he's like, when are you going to do a cross country on 14?
I saw that.
3-4, and I'm not.
You're like, damn, no rest for the weary. But how cool is that?
No, I mean, it's the coolest thing in the world. I get it.
To me, it is, and again, I know there's going to be a bunch of, you know, Elon stan. I am one. I'm an Elon stan. I'm an Elon guy. I got shirts that say Team Elon. But that all being said, you know, there's going to be a lot of folks out there that are like, no, it's all Elon. It's like, no, dude, when Ashok, and just for, again, half of my subscribers who have no clue what I'm talking about, Ashok Alaswamy, he is the leader of AI at Tesla. So, Cybertruck. No, that's black. Nicely. Ashok is the leader of all AI efforts. There you go. There he is at Tesla. So when it comes to FSD, what's basically taken us to the Tesla delivery center right now. When it's Optimus, the brain for Optimus, Robotaxi, all of that, that's the guy that is leading the effort. And when you were going back and forth on, and y'all were basically like besties texting each other, and we just all got to watch it. I was like, that right there, that was where I was like, okay, this is the real deal. So that was so cool. But yeah, going back to you real quick though. So that's what I know about you, David.
Yeah.
And I know when I say you came out of nowhere, I do not mean that as a slight whatsoever.
No, I don't.
In fact, it's like it's a compliment to you, because 12 months ago, I'm not sure if somebody would have said David Boss to me, I would have had no idea who they were talking about. Now you say David Boss. I mean, you're probably one of the 10 most recognizable people, you're up there with the Omars and the Sawyers. Like, people say David, they almost don't need to say Moss now, right?
Yeah.
So tell us, give me a little bit of your background, like where you're from, school, if you want to do that.
Yeah,
I know you were a LiDAR salesman of all things.
Yep. Pretty much all my, growing up, lived in Seattle area. Recently moved back home in the past couple of years, but grew up there. Only child.
Same here.
Really?
Yep.
So parents together. I guess I don't know where I'm going, but essentially, love for cars, love for tech, love for everything happened from a very young age is where I'm trying to get at.
Yep.
I had Motor Trend, I had Road and Track, I had Car and Drive Roll, shipped to the house.
You were a car enthusiast growing up, big time. Were you I'm going to use these words in the most loving manner possible. Were you like a grease monkey, motorhead type of guy, always getting underneath the hood with your dad?
Definitely not that part of it, but more like, I guess more of the tech, more of the cutting edge.
More of the tech than you were like the grease monkey part.
Yeah. My parents always had like brand new Toyotas and stuff that never broke down, and neither one of them care about cars at all. But for me, it was like, anytime you'd see, anything exotic, M3 up to Lamborghini and anything in between, you'd be pretty excited. But so I love all things more sports cars than anything. But so even from a very young age, like I'm 29 years old, but when Tesla Roadster came out, I knew about it. I was reading about it. I had this nice.
Were you 12?
I must have been less than that.
Oh, like 8 or 9, maybe.
Yeah, because I was pretty.
So you were an enthusiast.
I was about that young when Model S came out, 12.
Yeah.
But my grandfather, he wasn't necessarily into cars, but he was like that kind of grease monkey guy. He was a professional mechanic at one point of his life. He did so many things. He worked for like Lockheed Martin doing repair stuff.
Oh wow!
And a whole bunch. He's had a ton of different hats, but amazing with his hands. And he really loved electricity. He loved batteries. He'd soup up his golf cart and a bunch of things. So from extremely young age, he would show me videos of like custom electric cars drag racing at drag strips, and tell me about electric cars being the future. And I didn't necessarily believe him at the time, but I had that at least implanted in my head and shown that. And so I had a bright idea, and then knew about Roadster, but wasn't the greatest thing. And then Model S comes out. I think that's cool. You read all about it, Motor Trend Car of the Year, and kind of just keep it in the back of my head. And again, I'm 12, 13 years old. I'm nowhere close to buying a Model S from an age or a money standpoint, and always love cars. Kind of jumping forward, kind of going to the LiDAR thing. Always had sales jobs and that kind of outside sales, traveling roles.
You were a traveling salesman.
Yes. Yeah.
And when I say traveling salesman, you were a ground pounder. You were in your car all the time.
Yes, I think that's my favorite thing about FSD, is because for so many years, and so recently, at least in the spring, I had my 29th birthday, and I started this traveling salesman gig coincidentally like the week of my 21st birthday. And so for that 8-year clip I spent 1,400 nights in a hotel, which is 48% of the time.
Ooh.
So, and you know, and my father, he had his own small business, and the kind of things he was selling, the manufacturers that he's working with, for whatever reason, they let him like purchase everything with a credit card. And so from a very young age, like we would do road trips in the summer, and I was very fortunate to go to all 50 states before I even graduated high school, just because of all these travel points that he had, and just always been all things cars and traveling and seeing the world. And that's kind of where FSD came in the mix. So going back to the traveling and everything, and you know, I would watch all the Tesla unveils. I watched Model X unveil, watched Model 3 unveil, but I just didn't think with my lifestyle that electric car would suit, just because I was, you know, putting, you know, 4 or 5 times the average amount of miles that, you know, most people drive, and so I just didn't think the infrastructure was there, and you know, and then, you know, 2, I didn't want to deal with the charge time anyway. But I find myself in a Delta lounge in Phoenix, Arizona. It's, you know, November of 2019, and I watched the Cybertruck unveil. I'm absolutely blown away. I love it. I love the look. I love the, you know, the feature. It did not bother me whatsoever. Put in a deposit right then at the lounge at the end of the deal, and then, you know, with all the delays and everything, you know, it took a very long time, March of 2024, to get the delivery. And I got my Cybertruck, and I'll be completely honest, I fully intended to flip it. I was like, I never had a Tesla.
We'll edit that out for you, not just to mess with you.
Yeah. And at that point, they were reselling for pretty penny. It was pretty early.
Oh yeah.
It was towards the tail end of the easy flip, but I was full end. I was like, all right, like I'll try this out. I'm gonna put like less than 100 miles on it. I'll show my buddies. But I was kind of thinking, I was like, okay, I can see the EV future. I can get behind it. But I was like, I want one last V8. Like my full intention, I was gonna buy this, and I was gonna flip it, and I was gonna use the money to buy myself a new V8 Range Rover, and that was gonna be my car. That was my plan for months. And so I buy it, and then and I just absolutely loved it. You know, even within the first hour, I had a full Gatorade bottle thrown in my car on the way home.
Oh my gosh.
And I hadn't even literally had it for
somebody harassing you.
Yep. And first hour, but I mean, it wasn't,
over a truck.
Yep.
That doesn't use gas.
Yeah. This was before all the political turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had that thrown, and I mean, it was just so cool. You know, it took 5 or 10 minutes to learn the steer by wire, because at first you're really jolting the wheel, but I absolutely loved it.
And this was before there was no FSD on the Cybertruck.
There wasn't FSD.
So you had to manually do the tack.
Yeah, there wasn't FSD until like October of that year. But yeah, I just absolutely loved it. I hadn't even experienced FSD my own at all. I bought it. Like, I've been a fan of like FSD, thought it was cool. Like, I was watching Omar's videos at the time. You and I have a very similar story about getting into the community.
That's the way we came into the community, was through Omar.
Yep, through Omar's YouTube. And
shout out to Omar.
Yeah, take a second to say shout out to Omar. I mean, more than anybody in this community, he's done the absolute world for me and gone out of his way.
I mean, I wouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
Like, I'd still be in a Chevy Silverado talking about nerds and glorified golf carts had I not run across his YouTube channel somehow or another.
I completely agree. I had a Ram 1500, and but yeah, watching his videos really convinced me of the feature. But going back to I absolutely loved it. And then had the Cybertruck, had some great things. I actually got, I don't know if you know, I got shot at in my Cybertruck.
Yeah, I remember you telling us that on a space, and I was just like, what? That is nuts. So here we are at the Tesla. So we'll put a pin in that for the ride back.
Yeah, that'll be great.
That's a nice looking, man. Was that a Corvette?
Yep.
That was beautiful. All right, let's see. Oh, we're stopping for...
Wow. I was wondering why the hell it was stopping.
Yeah, I was too. Let me see what... So, yep, we still got the... And I've got to make sure I got it on parking. Yep, I got it on parking lot. There we go. Have you've been here, right? Because you came here when Robotaxi first came to Houston, right? So you've been to, but you were like in and out, like quick.
Yeah, literally just enough to take the ride.
So this is your second time this is the largest delivery center in Texas, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this one here, it's huge. Oh, nice job, FSD.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I would not have seen that dude.
I definitely didn't see him. But yeah, we came here, Spencer and I, at Scott's Roll 08.
You did all three. Talk about another to tell them about that.
Yeah, so I was in Orlando, Florida, at the Tesla owners of Florida.
Cybercab. Cybercab just came through.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen a glossy one.
We're gonna have to go and see that here.
In person, that was.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to.
No,
I did mean to interrupt you.
Yeah,
I wanted to show you
I'm
that.
glad you did. I'd never seen that. That looks way better than the map.
That looked really good. That's actually I've seen one up on the highway, like getting off on it, so barely. That's the first one I've seen, like, I bet you it's going to the Charger. We can go over there and check it out.
So we'll finish that real quick. But yeah, so I was in Orlando speaking at this event, and I get the alert on my phone like everybody else. You know, they just randomly drop Robotaxi in Dallas and Houston. So I call up Spencer, and I say, like, hey, it would happen to be the weekend. I was like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? And he's like, nothing. He's like, all right, we're getting together. And then he's like, okay, great. And so I flew from Orlando. I was supposed to stay a couple more days, and I immediately leave from the event. The event's not even over. I get on a plane. I fly to Dallas. And then Spencer and I, we took rides in Dallas, Austin, and here in Houston, all within 24
hours.
So
you did the Texas Triangle in less than 24 hours.
And
we're getting a common theme here. The common theme is you are freaking nuts. Absolute, but you're the best kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to put a pin in that because we're going to go, first of all, I think we're going to go check out this Cybercab.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do maybe a couple of Robotaxi rides, go somewhere and come back. We do need to get you back because you got to be down in a certain place by a certain time. So we'll take care of that. All right, then. Well, everybody, we will see you in a little while. Well, to y'all, it'll be 1 second. Bye-bye.